Cardinal Sean, thank you for this opportunity to reflect on the mystery of the cross in this great cathedral. So I was sitting glued to the TV set. I was watching Boomtown, if you need to know. I see heads shaking there. That means you're old. Oddly, as I was watching Boomtown, my mother came in the door of the house, followed by my three brothers. It was only a little after 7 o'clock in the morning, February 22nd, 1967. As my brothers stood at a distance, my mom sat on the couch next to me and informed me that my father had been in a car accident. So I immediately asked, what hospital he was in. And she said, he's not in the hospital. My mom said, Daddy is dead. And I think of that moment now 50 years later, and it still shocks me. No doubt you know quite personally, death is shocking, even when we see it coming. There is nothing in life more devastating, no greater sting. It is finished. And bowing his head, Jesus died. Each year on this Friday that we call Good, those words sting because we know the man, don't we? We have come to know Jesus. He is our dear friend. Even he, as we heard a couple of weekends ago, even he was deeply perturbed as he stood at the tomb of his friend, Lazarus. And Jesus wept. My dad wasn't a Catholic, but this very kind and compassionate priest who was the curate at my home parish, he was so good to us. He was so understanding to my family. He came to the funeral home and said the prayers. He accompanied us to the cemetery, to the grave. That wasn't so typical back then. He was pastoral before that word became all de rigueur. And about a week after the funeral, Father Richard Little was he, later the chancellor of this great archdiocese. He came to my family home. Bobby, my mother said, come over and sit next to me. Father has something for our family. What he brought us was a crucifix. And as he held it, I remember clearly thinking to myself as I looked, those hands holding that crucifix, those are the hands of a priest. It was the first time that God spoke to my heart about my vocation. The power of the cross. Until we sold the house, that crucifix hung on our living room wall for almost 40 years. And every time I looked at it, it was a continual reminder to me of the sting of death, but also the great blessing of our Catholic faith. I bet a crucifix hangs in your home somewhere. It does in every Catholic school or institution. The crucifix is the most central and well-known symbol of our faith. It has been since the beginning. In a world where so few things seem permanent, where things come and go so quickly, where passing fads are commonplace, where so much is considered relative, the fact that this symbol has endured for so long everywhere is a tangible sign of the power of Christ crucified. But really, look what he's done for us. Ecce lignum crucis. Behold, the wood of the cross. In a little while, you and I will come up here to behold what God has done for us. You know, it happens all too frequently now. We see these images and video online showing the brutalized bodies of people, now sometimes little children, who have been just innocent bystanders at the moment of a terrorist attack. But closer to home, I, as a priest, and many of us, we have stood at the bedside of someone whom we knew in their youth, in their vigor, in better days. But now we see them as on the cross. We see their bodies, perhaps their minds, sometimes brutally reduced by cancer or depression or substance abuse or some other terrible disease. And then even closer to home, it's good for us to realize that we are sick, that I am a sinner, that you are a sinner. And because of our sins, we are but shadows of what God intends us to be. For all of us, for all of humanity, for all of history, the cross is the turning point. It is the medicine we need because Jesus hangs there. It is our only hope. This afternoon, we will come forward to reverence the wood of the cross, literally here in this cathedral, because there is, as you probably know, a relic of the true cross embedded in that crucifix. It's just seemingly the intersection of two pieces of common wood, with no other purpose but to be an instrument of torture and death. What makes the cross a crucifix is the intersection of wood and flesh, arms outstretched, attached by nails, holding the body of the one whose only crime was that he loves you without condition or reservation. Greater love than this no person could have, than to lay down one's life for one's friends. In Jesus Christ, God's mercy and friendship are made visible, tangible. This is why his crucified and risen body and blood are for us viaticum, that is, food for our life's journey. For it was our infirmities he bore, our sufferings he endured. He was pierced for our offenses, crushed for our sins. The Lord laid upon him the guilt of us all. My sisters and brothers, the crucifix is not just a symbol. It's certainly not a decoration. It is the altar upon which was offered the one supreme sacrifice which alone suffices. For we do not have a high priest who is unable to sympathize with our weaknesses, but one who has been tested similarly in every way, yet without sin. Father, into your hands we commend our lives. Jesus, in the midst of all of the complexity and the struggle of life, you are our only hope.